What'd you say?
There's deep dilemmas.
Oh, we can pull that out later. Welcome to the Tragedy Academy, a show created to bridge societal divides in a judgment-free zone using candor and humor. My name is Jay, and we are joined today by Nico Gutierrez. How you doing today, brother?
Doing good yourself?
Living the dream. Gary, what's up, man?
Chilling, literally. It's 46 degrees.
Dude, I can't do a hot studio. It's so... Once all the lights get going and the cameras and everybody's near hot mouthing, breathing on these mics, it goes up like 20 degrees. In like
There's a
5
difference
minutes.
between hot and freezing. Like there's middle. Like doesn't have to be like...
I forgot you're one of those two. Do you want a Shaw?
It's...
Nico needs a Shaw. You need a
It's
Shaw.
a shawl with an L, right?
No, it's SHAW, right?
No, it's got a shawl. Not a
I
shawl.
don't know about that, man. I feel like a Shaw is a Shaw. Now I gotta look.
There's
We're starting this show off great.
There's an L in there.
I need to know. I know. I think that's how they pronounce it in Cleveland.
It's an L. Shawl.
Or Shaw. It might be both because I do remember hearing it said that way.
Yeah, Shaw is like...
Shaw versus Shawl. What's the difference?
One's right and one's wrong.
Mm.
There's no W.
Oh, shit. You're right. I'm wrong.
Yeah, obviously.
Fuck. When does that happen? On the word shit. Yeah, I'm talking about a Shaw is a wood or grove. Wow. It's a rectangular piece of cloth. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I didn't claim to be fucking super smart. We got somebody here today that's super smart from CodeNinjas.
Talk about me.
Nico is here to talk to us about his franchise that he works with that helps children learn how to code. But I'm going to let him explain better what that actually is. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, so what do we do at CodeNinjas? We take kids' natural interests, right, for technology, right? Kids pretty much nowadays are born with a piece of technology in their hands. And a lot of that stuff is mind-numbing, non-stimulating mind. I don't even know the word that I'm trying to use. It's pretty much what it does is that it destroys brain cells, right? It takes their free time, it occupies them watching something that's very remedial, and they learn nothing from it, right? So how do we change the narrative from being a user of technology to a creator of technology?
Interesting.
Right? That's kind of like the whole idea, the mission behind it, right? And how do we do that? We teach them how to code by building video games, right? So people think, well, is that all they do is build video games? And yes, but what does it take to actually build a video game, right? You have to be able to create a user interface. You have to be able to identify functions. You have to be able to understand, character design, use case analysis. You have to be able to understand what is it that you're building to and what is it that you're trying to achieve. So we kind of lay that foundation in kind of a belt system, right? So CodeNinjas are like, well, that sounds like they're doing some kind of karate stuff. Well, sort of.
They all like come in, hit the computer with their hand. Like
they come in there, they do a backflip. Yeah, they do a flying dragon kick. They take a chapter out of Conor McGregor's book and just do some flying, flying cartwheels. Whatever you want to call it.
I like that. After their parents like drop their kids off to you and they feel safe, you close the doors and it's like the Thunderdome. I was coding today, Bob.
And I got a black eye. Walked into a door.
Now he's a battered spouse.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
They're like 3 feet tall. Like, what spouse walks into a doorknob? Is a thing.
So when they actually graduate belts, so like we follow the whole belt system, we go white all the way up to black belt. And when they graduate, from white to yellow or whatever belt that they're graduating from, or if they're doing a camp that they're currently on. So we run week camps as well. So when we finish doing, we kind of have like a whole ninja graduation ceremony where like we all dress up in like ninja characters. Like one of us dress up as like the 4th Hokage from Naruto. Then we have,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So we do this whole cosplay. And then they have to break one of those breakable boards and have to do like their best karate moves.
Oh, but they haven't been training.
Oh man, they've been training their fingers.
I like give them all week to type, and then you hand them a really thick board to punch.
Oh no, it's one of those like cheapo ones.
I know the breakaways.
Right.
It's like what they scored in.
Yeah. You can put it back together after they hit it for the next kid.
They don't run the gauntlet. We
whipping them like they got their jujitsu.
Yeah, it's some wicked shit, man.
Have you ever seen that?
No.
So explain that, Gary,
because
you're not doing this to the children.
When you level up or whatever, you get in jujitsu, they'll line up their belts like wrapped up, and you got to run and whip the shit out of you. It's like
as you go by.
Wow.
Depending on the higher the belt, the harder they're whipping your ass.
Wow.
Like they let you have it.
Is that every jujitsu?
It seems to be a pretty common thing.
Wow.
It's a rite of passage kind of thing. The military used to do crap like this, like like I remember when you got promoted, anybody that was a higher rank than you was allowed to like punch your rank into your chest. Like you would stand there and then, people would come down like, like these metal spikes and they'd be like, bam, hit you in the chest. Or like when you got your wings for like aerosol or airborne, they'd punch you like with no backings on them. Like it's insane. No, it shouldn't have ever happened.
Yeah, that's a little more like we're not talking about metal spikes.
I got promoted in the jungle and had him pounded into my collarbone and then walked around with like borderline infection. Like, I was just
Yeah,
miserable.
you're either infected or you're
Yeah, I don't know about that now.
not. That's a little rough. We go way off topic quite often.
Yeah.
So
He's used to it. We talk all the time.
okay, good.
But
I've heard a few of those jungle stories.
yeah, those are fucking ridiculous. But I like that you're focusing on children.
Yeah.
And when you say video game, I don't think a lot of people understand what coding actually is versus say software development or programmer or something along that lines and how coding fits inside of that bigger picture. Do you want to explain what that is? And we'll kind of jump from there.
Okay. That's a loaded question. So I guess when you talk about like software development or like web development, it's kind of two different realms, if you will, right? So you have web development, which are web-based applications that
Mhm.
run using, web framework. That's not my area of specialty.
Right.
I'm more of like a back-end software guy. So we build software to run on dedicated servers, right? So
Mhm.
for example, like we could be building, applications. Specifically, me personally, I specialize in like API development. So what we do is build integrations with
Mhm.
APIs, and typically what we do is we hook up into backend systems, and we have to identify what are our domains, or essentially the different contexts that we're trying to solve for. What data are we trying to surface for different interfaces, or what two different systems are we trying to connect? And then we go in there, we solve that problem. So it's I guess
It's
in
a
layman's
problem
terms,
solving
yeah,
skill.
it's like a digital plumber, pretty much, right?
I like that you said it that way. That makes perfect sense to me because it's not the framework that's being worked on. This is problem solving in multiple different areas because I don't think that people really understand that when you're joining two different programs,
Right.
that interface and that work that comes in between to make those actually speak to each other clearly because they weren't designed to do it. That's where a coder really can prove some problem solving and get creative. And I think that a lot of people are getting scared of AI, chat GPT,
Mm.
what can spit out code, that kind of stuff. And this honestly bothered me when I first heard, what you were doing. And I was like, well, I don't want this to do something to my friend in his business. So looking at it, doing some research, and like you said, you guys are using video games, which is advanced problem solving skills. You're allowing them to look at complex problems that would normally look mathematical or engineering, but actually be from a different skill set, a different side of the brain, and allows them to work through it. People don't realize that Chat GPT is a box of numbers and letters that we put in there.
Right.
It can be pulled back out, but it's not going to be creative. It's not going to have the same capabilities of knowing what Mark's program needs and this program needs and how we're going to get all those feeds to work correctly. That requires a very unique mind. And would you agree that that's kind of how this is kind of coming together?
Yeah, like I would say, like when it comes to like this whole craze behind these large language models, and like, oh, it's gonna replace humans, and it's gonna take away jobs, and very that is a possibility, right? That is something that is probably going to happen, because when you're talking about jobs where you're just turning gears and punching numbers, that's going away.
Yeah.
But when you talk about skilled jobs, for example, like you were mentioning, things where you have to have an understanding of what this is doing over here. And you have to have an understanding of what this is doing over here. And you have to solve for some kind of architecture, and has to have some kind of human
Mhm.
emotion and some kind of human conscious behind it, driving that solution. I think, well, I don't think we're there. We're definitely not there yet.
No.
Can we get there in the future? Potentially. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. The the current time that we live in, and the technology and the stuff that you see out there, is pretty scary in terms of, and it could be cool. It depends on how you look at it. But as right now, when we talk about like being replaced from like like a software job, right? Like people are like, oh, why do your coders aren't going to exist in 5 to 10 years? Why?
Why wouldn't
And,
they?
and then I asked them, I said, why do you say that? Oh, because ChatGPT can stub out code. Yeah, if you put in the prompt, you put in the input and the desired output, it's going to spit out what you're telling it to. We're talking about the Terminator age when we're talking about these robots just walking around the office and doing our jobs for us.
Free will,
That's
yeah,
gone.
that's a little
G2.
different.
That's kind of
It's
crazy.
coming.
I mean, it's I don't know.
I agree with you. I believe that we have placed the nefarious intent of AI and technology on the wrong thing. It's not the technology. It'll never be the technology. It'll always be the asshole using the technology.
That's the
Right.
problem, though. Like when you make nuclear bombs, like the
Don't
nuclear,
make nuclear bombs.
yeah, but they already did.
I know.
And like they already made this technology, and then it's gonna grow, and they're gonna find people. The minute it comes out, there's people that use it for good, people that use it for evil, and then they advance.
I
usually,
agree.
The evil usually advances quicker, and then they catch them.
It doesn't play by the rules.
Yeah, then they catch him and make him be the snitch and figure it out.
Yeah, I think that whole AI thing can kind of be attributed to, or like you can use like an analogy where like a money situation, right? Money makes you more of what you already are, right? So like if you're
That's
a
a
good
great
person,
point. I like that.
if money if you're a good person and you have more money, you'll probably do more good things. But if you're a bad person and you make more money, you're probably worse things.
That's a different kind of plumbing. I
Right.
believe that if you are a conduit for good things and you're trying to affect change and you're acting authentic, money will come your way just like it would if you removed a clog in a pipe. It needs to go somewhere, and it's going to go where it's going to be facilitated the easiest. And I know that seems like it shouldn't apply. It's a different concept. But in my mind, it makes sense because nothing is static. Everything changes. And if there's a manner with which to get it to flow to you, I can only imagine that if you're removing clogs and doing things that are right, it's going to flow to you faster. It really is. And I think that that also works with business.
Right.
Right. I think that when you have the drive that you guys have, because we're not focusing on children, we're not paying attention to our youth, we're not showing them that they're good the way they are and that they can invent a different kind of future.
Right.
Right. And when you're putting the intelligence in their hand at an early age, you're giving them a chance to map out things that we never would have had.
Yeah.
And not because we could have, because I mean, who's going to map out anything when we only had push button phones?
Right.
Right. But giving them that roadmap early allows them to identify their creative space.
Absolutely.
They don't have to be coders.
Yeah.
They can just learn that coding showed them they liked solving problems.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is the problem solving that's a good point, because I work with 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, and I do the back in my day shit all the time. But like, if that phone can't immediately get you the answer, they have no fucking idea what plan B is, like how to fix whatever. Like, discuss it, talk to each other. Like, oh, they don't have like experiences to draw from that didn't require the technology in the first place. And it's like, how you were saying, like, they're just fucking around on the phone all day, and it's like rotting their brain, as opposed to like, it's how you present it and when you present it to them. I think like if you tell a kid broccoli sucks and just force them to eat it as a kid, like they're gonna already start thinking like, I don't want this. This is bad. Like, but if you're like, this is delicious. Like, everybody wants it.
Suggestion is a bitch.
Yeah.
Like, we don't realize how much influence words have over our life. And just telling a person that piano is difficult, they're already going to approach that activity with hindrance. They're going to feel they can't do it. It's going to take them longer. Imagine though, if they were never told and they just walked up there and started hitting it. Well, then they're going to do something completely different. I think that we do that to our kids the same way. We give them limitations. We give ourselves limitations like that.
Yeah, I think like I was just telling him before we started that, my best friend was over and he's got a stepson named Code, whose favorite class is coding. And my niece was there.
I love that.
She's 9 and she loves coding too. And I don't know shit about coding. And I'm like a pretty smart guy, and like they're telling me stuff in words I've never heard before. And they're 9 and 8 years old. And I'm like, fuck, they just weren't intimidated by it.
Right.
No, because it's normal for them.
Yeah. And they're like breaking it down and telling me how Roblox is like works and the codes. And
Why do you think boomers are freaking out? They're not freaking out, but for anything that they don't understand what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
I have no clue.
Yeah, if they look at their phone and they're like, there's 5 applications on here. They don't know how to navigate.
We kind of got to back off on them in that regard, because they're looking at, I say this a lot, that in their generation, a picture is worth 1,000 words. That doesn't apply now. A picture would be 1,000 things made by 1,000 people, and it is just something you cannot trust at all. But you hand it to, Pearl or Gertrude at Publix, and she's reading her phone on social media and she sees a picture of, I say, Hillary Clinton having an octopus baby. Well, she's going to tell the lady at the register, I saw it. It had an octopus baby. Don't tell me no different. I'm telling you. Randy, you tell her. And they believe it in their heart of hearts.
Right.
They're telling you no matter what. Our admin's over here laughing hysterically at my stupid accent.
Yeah,
Did I get it right though?
No, it's true.
Yeah, that was a Publix conversation.
And it was,
That's pretty good, man. Publix up there, right?
Yeah, in Zephyr Hills, outside of Tampa. I grew up in the country, man. I've heard these conversations a lot. And I'm not saying that people over a certain age are ignorant or anything like that, but you only know, what you've experienced or what is in your day-to-day life. There's nothing better than these memes and shit that you see where people are like, taught my boss making $600,000 a year how to do a spreadsheet today or a PDF. And it's like, dude, coding or whatever you're doing today will be a PDF to somebody else one day.
yeah, me.
Well,
Like,
but you know what I mean, though.
yeah, that's like, I'm decent with technology, much more than like my father who still has a flip phone. But like when you go to that next level, it's like no clue.
The tiers are insane. You're either in the halfway analog universe or you're all full on meta crypto. Like you only see the light of day when you take that fucking headset off.
I still, yeah, like we're in a weird generation. How old are you?
33.
Yeah, so he's 10 years younger than me. So like I was in that, had a pager in high school, didn't get a cell phone to college. I didn't have an email address till I was in college, or ever use a computer for anything except like BC's Quest for Tires and not a Commodore 64 and like wrote a couple papers. But
holy shit, BC's Quest for Tires. It took me a second to break that down. You don't know what the fuck that is.
It's a floppy disk. But
Yep.
like,
It was the BC characters from the comic.
yeah. And I had a teacher in my freshman year that was like, I'm going to email you guys your assignments and we have to walk across all the campus. Like, I'm like, no one's ever going to do this. Just hand me the damn piece of paper. Why do I have to do that shit?
Oh, you were that old person at that moment, resisting
the
change.
90s, it was like we didn't have, no one had an email address yet. We got that .unlv.edu, like long email address, and then they assigned you your password. It was like 47 letters long. Like you'd lose it.
You had to code your
You
password.
did. It was like 13 thing, and like you'd lost it immediately because you didn't have anywhere to store it. Couldn't store it in your phone, nothing. You wrote down a little piece of paper in your dorm room that was just nothing but like fucking beer cans and
Oh yeah, that
blunt
Post-it was wore the fuck out.
yeah, gone immediately. But that's crazy because it wasn't that long ago. Like in the grand scheme of
Dude,
things.
that's one of the things. All of this stuff is changing so fast. Now, given that thought process that everything is changing that fast in technology, in your franchise in CodeNinjas, are you guys working on staying ahead of the changes and getting new information on what's the newest method for working on this type of program and filtering that down to the kids?
Yeah. So we're pretty in tune with the time. So, kind of working in the technology space, you understand that technology is probably the industry that probably iterates and changes the most compared to like, I don't say construction, right? Construction is a very mature.
Buildings are
industry.
still square.
They've
pretty
been doing
much.
that stuff for hundreds and thousands of years, right? So they've kind of perfected the algorithm, so to say. But for technology, right? 6 months ago, it could be doing something completely differently because a new solution came out. ChatGPT came out. Another stack came out. Who knows? So you have to iterate. But at the end of the day, fundamentals remain the same, right? So like when you're doing object-oriented programming, if you're doing front end with like JavaScript, HTML, CSS, things of that nature, right? The framework typically is the same. The time it gets a little bit kind of wonky is when you start talking about Web3 and decentralized applications. That kind of has like a different, method to its madness. But at the end of the day, the CodeNinja's brand itself, I wouldn't say me, but they, we're actually in partnership now with Microsoft directly. So our curriculum is in tandem
That's
with
excellent.
Microsoft. So actually our first is at 5 belts, so all the way up to green belt. We do everything in Microsoft Make Code. So everything when they're doing the front end, they're doing the Make Code blocks, they're doing the JavaScript, everything up to before they get into object-oriented programming or doing Unity coding in the back end. We do everything in partnership with Microsoft. So having that unique, relationship, if you will, that's kind of built in or baked into our curriculum kind of allows us to have a competitive advantage in the marketplace. Because you look at other coding schools like iCode and all these things, what they do is great. But in terms of what we're doing, we're the only ones that have the brand recognition and our CSTR, Computer Science Teacher Association, kind of compliant because our curriculum was designed around that. So that pretty much it goes to our program that they're being at the national standard.
They're almost getting certified Microsoft before they're freaking.
Pretty much.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty, yeah, it's pretty damn cool. And it's not in a way where it's like, I hate to attribute it to like another like business model because I think there's a solution for everything. But for example, what we do, we're not a tutoring center, right? We don't come in and we just sit there and we look at math problems all day long, right? What we do is we're a learning center. So we do is we bring kids in. We have about one code sensei for about every 5 to 7 kids, depending on their level and age groups. And what we really do is we want kids to work on their stuff. So it's independent, it's self-paced. You work on your own modules. There's no competition in terms of like, hey, who's doing this faster? You work on your own stuff, right? But if you get stuck, right, we want someone like, Jimmy, who's been with us for 6 months, right? He's a yellow belt. And then, Bob comes in.
I like that.
Bobby comes in and he's, fresh, he's a brand new student. He's the first level, level 1 white belt. He gets stuck on something. We want the kids to learn to take initiative or have that kind of like, hey, take it upon themselves to help another kid. And that's a skill that we're teaching kind of, under the hood, right? So we don't necessarily say that we advertise. We teach leadership and team building skills, but that's kind of the whole crux, kind of the whole fundamental basis of our program. Because like technology inherently, segregates us, right? Because you go you go out to eat right in a restaurant. What happens if you're sitting there waiting? Everyone's on their phones. No one communicates to each other. I remember back in the days when we used to go to Don Pablo's or whatever, sit down and talk. All the other kids would play with each other while they're waiting. Parents will strike a conversation up with someone else. Nowadays, nobody. It's kind of like a lost art, like human emotion, communicating with people.
The QR code and
to get your menu, right? Get your whatever.
Right, waitress.
Like, I don't know what I did in the bathroom before phones. Like I used to read the air freshener can.
I did the same.
I was reading like those weird,
all made in Cincinnati. I remember that. Like, if you forget your phone, you're like,
you're fucked.
Like all I have is my thoughts.
Read the wet wipes box.
Especially if it's one of those you're in the bathroom for like 30 minutes.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, dude. I just waddle.
I'd be reading everything.
I'd be lost like a billy goat, man. I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah. What did we do, man? Also,
you had magazines that were like definitely suspect on what was on them, and like after a while, like, did the shower just get on there, or did someone have bad aim? Like, why is it all wrinkly?
Oh yeah, when the magazine has like a actual, it looks like terrain.
Yeah. It's been used a few times.
I don't want that one because you know that it's your uncle like peeing like half asleep.
Yeah.
And that's all that top page is on there. It's just kind of
magazines. Like it's crazy that like, reading Sports Illustrated. Shit.
Oh no, you don't get the swimsuit issue. Just throw that one away.
Yeah, I'm not. You never touch another man's swimsuit issue.
No. That's a no go. Technology has come to such a integrated point in our minds, our everyday activities, because you're talking about the phone. But at the end of the day, I feel like we're already artificially intelligent. I feel like we gave that away as soon as we put the phone in our hands, because I guarantee there are day-to-day activities that you can't do without grabbing that to supplement.
Yeah.
And you're using it as a method to gain knowledge live time, and it's locked up. It's your mind. You know what you're putting in it and asking it for.
Yeah, locked up like you were locked out of your house yesterday. Not
Yeah,
talking
shut
shit, but no, but seriously, like the shit didn't
It's true.
work and like you couldn't get in.
No, I 100% understand what you're saying.
You know,
But
we had to,
I
like, drive
think
around
that
a
the
lot.
phone has become so integrated with us. Our technology is so integrated with us. It's actually just an extension of our own mind, but with its ability to compute because we trust it so much. If you handed me your phone and I was able to open it, fucking eyes would go like this big
Yeah.
and immediately feel invaded from every direction.
Oh hell yeah! Like I don't even like I'm showing someone a picture and I like take
They
the
try to
phone.
grab
Fuck, no, don't
why'd you-
scroll left. You'll see my poop pic that I sent to my buddy because it was really huge.
Like, why do you need to hold it if you look at it? You know, I don't know. It's weird because like everything's in there.
Dude, it was like 16 inches.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that'll show everybody. That's
Man.
but everything's
The
in
fact
there.
that you can produce that is impressive.
Yeah, it's true.
Good God.
Yeah, that's.
I kind of envy you, man. That's
That's well,
That's
that's a
some real
once in
work
a,
right
you
there.
don't send everyone. That's like a once in a
That's what happens
lifetime.
when you eat
Once
nothing but bunt cakes.
yeah.
We got one for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
If
one,
you eat 7 in a row, that's what you
Oh,
get a
boy.
really long.
you leave a bunt cake.
Yeah.
It's even a mink.
Oh man, it's
16-inch dookie coming right out.
Oh
that's-
man, dude, what were we talking about coding a minute ago?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
man.
explain.
Snakes on a
Plane.
plane. Worst sequel ever.
Was there a sequel? There was a part 2.
No, I mean like, or parody.
Oh, was there? What was the?
Well, Snakes on a Plane is a real movie.
Yeah, what's the other one?
I was just talking about the different
the
types.
Yeah.
The Alabama brown snake that you just fucking described.
Oh, yeah, I know him. Oh, yeah.
Our admin is a female. Caroline is sitting here listening to us talk about poop talk, and she's grinning like an 8-year-old boy on the playground, listening to two people like cut each other down.
Yeah.
She's-
Yeah, his were too after squeezing out that 17-inch tube.
that's one that you have to like wipe your forehead after.
That's you sweat
Oh, man.
constantly, no matter what you're doing.
I do, man. When it's hot outside, I fucking
Or
hate
when
it.
it's 17 degrees and my arm hairs are sticking.
I laugh hard, dude. I live life to its fullest. If you're not sweating, you're not trying at life.
So coding,
Yeah, back to this coding thing.
the Microsoft thing. Is that like? Are you raising green bubblers? Like, are you like?
Shit,
are these like guys that are gonna like fuck up my group chats later on in life, and like I can't send them a PDF and stuff like that?
This is the iPhone army, right? The Apple army against the.
It's
the
just
the
practical
Android,
to use.
It's not even really against. It's
Yeah.
kind of like we just watch you guys exist and go, why?
You're one I knew. You know, like
I mean,
it is like
they just like inconvenient shit.
yeah, it's just like just jams everything up.
I guess, man. I guess it
Dude,
depends.
I
if
bet
you're
there's
square or
legit
circle.
divorces out there. Over
I mean,
Android
if
phones.
I text a girl and it turns green, I don't
That's
care
it.
how hot she is. I just hit delete.
Wow. Damn.
man, that's a level of confidence and standard that I've never been able to have in my
There's-
single
There's
days.
always a
Wow.
bigger story. They're either broke
This,
or they have some like contrarian views on everything, like and like
I'm
conspiracy
not
theorists,
taking the Apple,
or
man.
they're like a coder or whatever. They're way too smart for me.
Yeah, so I think you hit the nail on the head. There is a group of Android users that are tinkerers, and they like to get behind things. They like to fuck with the apps. They like to make shit. They like to go jailbreak this and do that. That group, they're going to be there. But then there's the other group that pretend like they're trying to, the Android phone is cool, but they're not using it for anything cool, and it's just fucking up their life.
Mhm.
They wish they had an
It's
iPhone.
contrarians.
Contrarians. Yeah.
Like
Contrarians.
I work in television. There's like 4 on every set that just fuck the whole thing up. Guy's name's Dylan. On you know,
Fuck you, Dylan.
yeah. I got Dave, Chris, and Dylan. We're going to shoot some stuff in a couple days in
Poor Dylan.
Chicago. And like, here's all the information you need. Like, can't just send it here. I got to email it to Dylan because you can't get fucking PDFs. And then if I try to send it, James, the whole thing, try to send a picture, just a regular picture, like,
He gets it tomorrow.
yeah, a minute long, 480 video. Nah, that's not going through. 0.
Yeah, I've got a ton of full disclosure. I've got several texts to you that have a nice big red block next to it said not delivered.
And they'll be like, that's not on my end because my end is better.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Yeah.
If
I
your
mean-
work is coming through an Android, you get plausible deniability to not do like a third of your work because it never arrives. We're railing on you right now.
No,
I'm
no, it's all
man.
right. I mean, there's no offense taken. See, my thing is that people that support an iPhone, right? They support it because that's what they always use, right?
Yep.
But when you look at the, outside, if you look at the technical boundaries on why you guys get the green bubbles, why you don't do it, it's not because of us. It's because Apple puts those restrictions because Apple doesn't play well with anybody.
You're right.
You try to have an Apple device and you try to hook it up to your entire smart home, right? It's a pain in the ass. Or if you try to integrate it with, let's say, Google Home and your phone or your iPhone, it's gonna be hard because Apple doesn't play well with others. I'm not saying
Why is
technology is bad.
Apple not playing well and not Google not playing well? Maybe it's the other way around.
Google plays fantastically. You can integrate Google
I'm just
products,
playing
Google
devil's
Pixel.
advocate.
You can hook up the entire spectrum to
Oh
Google
no,
Suite.
I had one Android phone and I had to fucking restart that thing like every 10 minutes. And I was like, I'm done. I wanted to punt it.
Yeah. So I can't speak for every kind of Google or Android phone, but if you use the newest Google Pixel,
Well,
right?
I make all my calls from an Amazon
fantastic.
Fire tablet.
Yeah.
Is that the right Android to use for
Yeah.
my phone?
I don't even think Amazon tablets run on Android. I think they run.
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
You sure?
Like the one that like the screen.
I guess I think they have a different.
Oh, do they have their own API now or their own
operating system?
operating system? Yeah.
I think they have their own shebang. But anyways, if the green bubbles bother you, I would say let's make a petition and let's go to Apple and let's get those changed because now Google's actually implemented something on like their whole rich chat service, whatever. Now we get notified when you guys are iPhone users. So like right now, if it's an Android user, I get
but
like
it
this
should
little,
be the other
this
way
little
around.
yellow text. So they're like, oh, you don't want to play? Well, that's fine.
Now it's
We'll
yellow.
throw it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get a little.
It should be
little
the
yellow.
other way. Them telling us about you.
Yeah.
No, it's tomato, right? It turns green. It's
I
like
don't like this, dude. You guys pulled the
Yeah.
card easy on
Yeah,
us.
man.
you could tell.
I feel like
It's hard to go to war against Google, man. I think Google in
I'm
size
not
is bigger
warning
than Apple.
anything. Oh, it probably is.
Yeah, I mean, Google literally controls all the fucking information in the whole entire world, basically.
Who would have thought that we would ever be sitting around as adults talking about something
Fucking
called
iPhones.
GOOGLE is the holder of all
But it
information of
is
the
like
world?
if you can't Google something, you're not fucking figuring it out. Probably like 99% of people.
Did you say fingering it out or figuring it out?
Well,
Like, what are you doing with Google?
it sounds like something you can figure out. Like, that's, I was just thinking, I mean,
Just because it's got two O's doesn't mean they'd be fucking fondling it.
but yeah, there's no way. If Google can't solve the problem, it's not getting solved. For like
He's right.
99% of people.
He's right.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying earlier, we're artificially intelligent.
Yeah.
You know how many people that fucking pretend to be smart now because they have a cell phone in their hand and they can Google something? I'm not saying that using information that way, but they will claim that it's their own knowledge. And they read it 5 minutes ago because it came from the same New York Times fucking best of this list we
But
all find on Google.
Before they would have read it in a book or somewhere else, probably too. So, but like everyone just didn't read that.
This is true, but
And before shit, you want to know like the capital of Rhode Island. You had to walk around and ask people, or you had to get to the library.
or you
find
just knew
it's
it was
like,
what, Providence?
whatever it is. I'm just saying
That's
a random fact, right? Like you had to
Yeah.
go to the library and find an encyclopedia or a book on that topic, or ask people till so on.
Oh, you did. And you could lie.
Oh, and that's the other thing. Then you had to ask somebody until you found that guy like that was really
Nerd.
convincing, but was completely.
Do you remember? Do you guys remember like the pre Google Maps when everyone had to use MapQuest?
Oh yeah.
How many
You had to
accidents
print-
happened
you had to
through
print
reading
that shit
paper?
out.
You had to print that shit out before you go on
Yeah,
your
well, before you had to go get the fold out fucking map. that Never ever could you fold it back the way you got it.
No.
Zero, it rips. You're just like trying to get in the glove box. You're kicking in there, your feet and shit. Like,
Oh man.
and in LA, we used to have the Thomas Guide. Like when I started working television, and it was like a binder, and it would like you get to like the edge, and it wouldn't be the next page. It would be like somehow like 7 pages later, where it would like wouldn't make any
It just
sense.
didn't go together.
It didn't, And then what is it? Billy Madison, where he's like, no, Tommy Boy, when he's like crossing state lines. And he
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
have the next map. And it's like, but that was shit. Like even the other day when I was coming over here and I was getting no reception, I was like, I don't fucking have any idea where to go now.
Yeah. When there's no reception,
Yeah.
we fall apart at the fucking seams.
Sure do.
Yeah.
When did that happen though? Like, because it wasn't long ago that none of us had this shit.
You don't pay
Like
attention.
when phones got smart. Right? It
And
was like
we fucking got
2008.
stupid. Like, immediately we said, fuck thinking. Like, thank God somebody else is doing it for me now.
I used to think like going somewhere, you subconsciously remember like, oh, it was a left at the blah blah blah. Like
Yeah.
your phone was saying left in 100 feet, whatever. Like now I have, except for the hospital, like the mall area, because we went there like 9 times yesterday. Like
He's not gonna stop
I don't
this.
know where to go. I mean, how many times I went over the bridge? St. Pete.
Listen here, man.
Last time I was here, I went over that
How many times did you drive to St. Pete last time because you don't know how to turn left?
a lot of times. But my hotel is right there, and you have to go. It says "Do not enter" to make a left turn, or you can only make a right out of the hotel, and it goes right on the bridge.
Yeah, the Howard Franklin. They're like, see,
Oh yeah, I was like,
He's like, I'm gonna be late. He's stuck in gridlock over the water in the middle of nowhere.
That was the fucking
I'm like,
worst.
how do you turn the wrong way like that?
Yeah, and I even asked the front desk, they're like, yeah, you just got to go out the other one. I'm like, it says "Do not exit." They're like, well, technically the city makes us because we're not supposed to turn left there, but it's the only way. And I'm like,
Shitty hotel, man. Well, you gotta.
well,
You can only get in and out on a bridge.
it's right at like the edge. And like I'm standing there again.
You're like, I squashed that. Now
Yeah.
he's in.
Is that where you saying like the Hyatt?
It's the Hotel Elba.
Also, sounds familiar.
I'm familiar with the woman.
She's high.
Yes.
But I got a free night because I got
Oh,
stuck
that's-
in the elevator.
Alba?
Alba or Elba?
Elba.
I thought you said
ALBA.
Alba. Yeah, Alba.
Oh, Alba. Oh, wow.
Right?
Suddenly he's like, oh,
I was like,
I-
what?
I haven't seen her in any time.
Yeah, it's my Wi-Fi. I'm just,
yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen her forever. Wasn't she in like fucking Honey or something like that back in the day?
No,
Like
she had a-
dancing?
Dude, I think she's actually her net worth is actually higher now because like she had a kid or whatever, and then she went into all these. Like, I was reading something. I
Sold
can't
it.
remember. No, she has
No.
went into some business ventures or doing some like makeup shit or something like that. But yeah, she's killing it outside of the whole movie industry.
Good
so,
for her.
God bless her. Yeah.
Do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
Or money and give free money, like then you can do anything.
Use that money to do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you're not fucking like hurting people or, exploiting children for labor or some shit like that.
Or like raising an army of like espionage, like hackers, like under the guise of
Is this actually some kind of a covert unit that creates future spies?
like an amazing movie.
Man,
like
Speaking
under-
about hackers, man, there's this one kid that's in my program, and like being in this business has really opened my eyes that there are some really smart kids. Like there's this one kid that came into the program, and when we were doing the tour and starting to get to know, 'em, making sure they were a good fit for the program. The mom was telling me, she was like, my son, whatever, I'm not gonna say his name, but he loves technology, but he has an obsession with viruses. What do you mean viruses? So back when school was back into full remote, when COVID was at its height, they were doing a test at home. And he goes, Mommy, some of the questions on my test say bad words, like, F-bombs and stuff like that. She came and looked over at the test and she said, wow, these are such inappropriate questions. So she flagged it back to the professor. The professor said, whoa, this was not my test. Ended up opening an investigation in the school. Mind you, the kid was like 9 or 10 years old. Right? Opened up an investigation into how this happened. Like the internet, whatever team, security team tracked it. The IP address came back to her residence. So it was the same kid who took the test, who manipulated the test bank. I don't know how he could have done it, but changed the questions on the test bank, right? Pretty much hacked the
Just to cause a ruckus.
just to cause that, right? And so like the mom was like, it was kind of like a proud mom moment, but also like I was a little bit upset, but I was like, damn, my son might have skills. Like that might be a job, like you said, maybe working in the government in some kind of
It's like-
agency, right?
It's what
Yeah,
you can do with the Bank of America app.
Right.
Yeah, I got this credit report that I've been wanting to get taken care
Right.
of.
And so when this kid comes in and he does his program, right? He's learning like the coding fundamentals and doing all the stuff that we're doing. He's watching at the same time as he's doing this, like videos on YouTube on how to write malware. I'm like, listen, whatever you do,
Listen
on
here,
this computer, you don't have admin privileges, or you can't execute a script on the command prompt, because if you do, you probably blow up my computer.
this
So, like,
guy's a future fucking like
I have
anonymous hacker
but
or
this,
something.
but this is the kind of stuff that motivates me, because I'm like, man, like this is some cool shit, because I'm like, if these kids are genuinely interested in kind of stuff like that, it is, this kind of like topic, right? Obviously you can use it for nefarious things and things to do, things wrong.
Training supervillains.
Saying supervillains, but like, you can train these kids, right? That have like, they're still innocent to a certain degree, right?
Yep.
And you can put it to good.
Like, yeah, you're steering them to good before evil.
Yeah.
Like, I can
But-
see how this would work because, dude, kids are geniuses.
Yeah.
They're naturally geniuses we dumb them down with society and our rules.
Yeah.
That's really, it's like fucking throwing a fire under a blanket and asking it to keep burning.
Programs like this, I mean, like school used to just suck that out of you.
Yeah.
Like, if you did anything except what was on this one sheet of paper,
You're
in
wrong.
the fucking
Right.
hallway.
Yeah.
Shut up. Look forward. Like,
Right.
don't.
Yeah.
First piece of technology for me was carbon paper. And it was because in 5th grade, they used to punish us writing multiplication tables, 1 through 12. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. All the way through to 12 times 12, right? It takes forever because they want you to just sit there and be punished and do something, ridiculously mundane. And you're learning. Like, no, this is just stupid. I can look at the other page where it says the same thing on it. So what I did was I went and got carbon paper and put it in between the page, and I wrote it once. And then I turned all the pages in separate. and just like that mother, the teacher looked at me mildly proud that I was smart enough to come up with the idea and pissed that I shirked the whole situation.
Yeah, but like that was like how it should be. Like if the technology exists.
You're here to make me smarter, right? Problem solve, do things like that. If my boss told me I had to write this shit 100 times, I'm going to go grab some carbon paper and write it once. Like, that's called efficiency.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like we were talking earlier. My friend's a teacher, and I was asking about ChatGPT and stuff. And I think 6th grade, and I'm like, and he's like, yeah, they're already doing it, And I'm like, well, what do you do? He's like, well, we have software that catches them. I'm like, so you're using it to do your job, right? I'm like, isn't that what they're doing? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, if they're using this tool to write their paper on Moby Dick, and it's better than it would have been, like you can't tell if they did it or not, supposedly. And he's like, well, I could tell, but that's just what proves it. I'm like, I don't know. It's all the same shit to me. Like you're using a new piece of technology to more effectively do your job. And like that kid was too. So like, it's like, well, it could be wrong and X, Y, and Z. I'm like, then you fail them. It's same if they read the wrong shit of a book or whatever source they use. Like if it's wrong.
You're 100% right. I think the bigger problem here is why the fuck do we care whether or not a kid can talk about a fictionary whale or a fictional whale? Why is this the measure of intelligence and life on Earth? Yeah. Whether or not you can fucking say, call me Ishmael or whatever the fuck
I don't know what book
is.
it was. But it was some shit.
Yeah, but
it's true.
That's a great point because now you talk about the education standard, right, that we have in this country. Look at the current generation that's going into the workforce. They can't do shit. They virtually have zero skills, right? They almost to a point they don't even know how to wash no fucking clothes, right? And how did that become, right? Because you just like the standard that we set here is so subpar. Like you compare kids in like China and other countries, they're multi-language. They're able to do linear algebra. They're able to do all these kind of things way before we are.
I'm going to help you with this. This dawned on me the other day. We forced ourselves into a 2-parent workforce country. The kids in other countries have established familial units usually where a grandmother, a mother, families stay together. We put things in this country, we put it under the guise of feminism and said, hey, look, oh yeah, you guys can all go to work, right? We're going to do this, but we're going to raise the price of everything so you can never go back.
Yeah, maybe, but it's also like,
name a mom now that can come home and leave the husband as a single fucking breadwinner and really survive.
Yeah, but were they gonna be like way more hardcore on the kids and like making them be smart, or would they be at home coddling them?
No, I'm just saying having that environment where a kid's not raising themselves for X amount of time a day. They're going from a school system to a latchkey until a parent gets home and then, or both parents. So it's like, it's a real huge gap in the experience that it is to be a family and have that relationship where you can even tell whether or not a kid's doing something or has the ability to do something. It's always gone. Yeah, and I'm not saying women should be at home. I'm saying a parent.
Right.
When you make a 1-parent home, there are repercussions. There has to be. You can't just leave them all. I mean, our generation stole everything and fucking ran around like idiots. As soon as our moms went to work, we were like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see I think you're right about some of that for sure. I'd like to see like the statistics of the countries that are predominantly still like that. Because, I mean, it's hard.
But it's like, are you guys familiar with the concept of generational theory? Have you guys heard of that before? All right, so generation theory starts like this, right? So we talk about our grandparents and our grandparents' grandparents, right? They didn't have any technology back then. They had they were extremely skilled. They could, build a house. They could, fix their own plumbing issues. They can go out there and knit their own
Carve
stuff.
wood
They
like
can carve
nobody's
wood. They can do all
business.
this kind of stuff. Extremely skilled, right? But then as extremely skilled people produce extremely useful tools, the next generation that comes under it doesn't need to be as skilled as as their predecessor because they've already made something that makes their life easier. So then if you perpetuate that circle, right, you get to where we're at right now with Gen Z, right? So we got the millennials. People have their, I'm a millennial itself. I'm kind of like the beginning of the millennial, but I consider myself productive, but that's nor here nor there, right? So you get to the millennials, right? And in each generation, right, they make skills or they make tools that make the next generation's life a little bit easier. So now you look at Gen Z, right? Gen Z has kind of come up in the whole social media realm, right? Where they value pranks and YouTubers and they watch dumb shit all the time and they think that's the cool thing to do, right? So then basically they're not able to do anything, right? They're not able to be productive in society. None of them want to work. I don't want to say not all of them, but I'm saying the vast majority, there's
Get off my lawn.
there's a gap in terms of the workforce because people don't want to work. They want to work 10 hours and make $300,000 a year. And they don't want to go to school. They don't want to do anything hard. They want to do something easy. They want to be a YouTuber and they want to make millions and millions of dollars. While some people get lucky, that's not the general course of life for everybody, right? So we're at the bottom. And in generational theory, the bottom gets reset with the hero generation. So in the hero generation, I'm a firm believer is that what they call the alpha gen right now, which is my kids, the kids in the same kind of paradigm or the kind of demographic. And it's a reason why I got into this business because I'm like, stuff that they're learning is subpar. They even changed the way you do fucking math in school. It pisses me off. I had a debate.
There's weird shit now. They like go crossways.
They do all this kind of crazy weird shit. I'm like, you can't it's like the laws of physics. Laws of physics don't change unless you find a new discovery in physics, right? Like that's how that works. Math is the same way. You don't invent something different because that's just how you arbitrarily do it. But anyway.
And there's no reason it's not better or like getting to a solution faster. It's just reteaching something that doesn't need to be retaught. Right.
Yeah. So back at the hero gen, alpha gen is like if this generation is not given the skills to fix the way the world is going right now, because we live in a world like in the misinformation, dark, everything you hear on news is dark and gloomy. It's like you want to get depressed, turn on the fucking news for 10 minutes and then yeah.
I don't watch it.
Yeah, that's a great way to fill up your cup with a whole bunch of negativity, right?
You bring up a great point that the alpha generation or the younger generation is going to have the onus of bringing forward their, a new type of living society because of the way that things are unfolding now.
Yeah.
I think that one of the key mechanisms for that to be successful is to have people like yourself who can admit that their skill is going to die and it doesn't mean it's the only way to do things. We've run into a situation generationally where people will get angry at new ways that things are done because it's not the way they did it. And I feel like there's a certain amount of jealousy in that too. I feel like there's generational jealousy where we walked 2 ways to uphill to school both ways in the snow with fucking black goggles on or something. I don't know. Right. And then, but you get to ride, in this fancy Lexus on every other day and blah, blah, blah. And they're just people are angry at people that have a new generation of easier up.
Right.
But aren't we supposed to be doing that?
We are.
We're supposed to be making shit easier, not harder.
Yeah.
My big confusion about AI is, shouldn't that be a great place to pause? Like, don't we let AI be AI and we reconsider what our social, what our fiscal system looks like, how we, move money, do things? Because now you've taken a workforce, 40%, dropped it into the fucking pond and said, you can't make money, but you got to use this. Right? So at what point do we look at all this technology and say, you know what? We deserved a break. Why don't we focus on arts for a while? Why don't we have a new renaissance? Why don't we utilize this time to get connection with ourselves? Because Boston Dynamics has got a guy that's fucking flipping backwards and using a ratchet. Like, I'm cool with that. If Bob doesn't have to do that and fucking come home with 4 fingers and still has the ability to support himself, that's a fucking fantastic new world. Right? We have to rethink things.
Right.
We can't replace things and leave people standing. Right? I think that one of the cool things that could happen in the future for, say, your business or, coding and things like that is to integrate intelligent thought into prompting. and helping, people understand that, like you said earlier, a prompt is fucking hard. A prompt takes a lot of work if it's a complex item that you're trying to produce.
But it's getting easier too, though.
It's getting easier, but it still requires that same artistic skill that he's talking about.
For
in
now, but
coding.
the artistic, like anything, it gets less, right? Like, you should draw, and then like tracing paper came out, and you could trace, and then the boards came out and you could trace it, and then the prompts. Like right now, you got to be pretty specific and trial and error and whatever. But pretty soon, you'll be able to say, just like I want a grizzly bear riding a tricycle, like X, Y, and Z, like pretty simple, and it won't come out all messed up. Where you have to now it's like you have to be very specific.
I
on
agree with
certain
you.
things, and that's going to be easier and easier and easier.
Arts, writers, anything that requires that kind of skill is really in trouble,
Yes.
right? The prompts that I'm talking about are the ones that he's describing when you have multiple user interfaces and you're trying to figure out how to make them all speak to each other, and you're going to write some code that makes this happen. And that fucking chat GPT prompt looks like what? It's a fucking nightmare.
But that's going to get easier too, in
Yeah.
a way, when it starts
But
to
that's the art,
understand all
though.
of these different things. Somebody's got to be smart enough to figure out how to make it
Right.
easier, and then make
Yeah.
it so idiots like me could use it, and then it'll be the next thing and the next thing. But
Right. Can you imagine AI paired with quantum capabilities? So like
It's 2 seconds. It's already here.
it's right around the corner. So yeah, quantum computers are here, but they're going to be generally available starting 2025, right? So you talk about
Generally available.
2025. So you pair that with AI, right? And then there's another, bleeding edge or leading edge, whatever you want to call the field, that's called OI, right? Called organoid intelligence. What's the
Biomechanical.
So they're like integrating computer with human consciousness.
Yeah, biomechanics.
So like when you start doing that's like some cyborg stuff.
yeah, this is
sci-fi,
Terminator 2
right?
shit, man.
So like you start pairing human consciousness with artificial intelligence plus what a quantum computer can do and elastically scale, right? Because quantum computing is completely different from what a traditional computer does, right? Zeros and ones, binary. It's either on or
It's
off.
in 3D.
Right. It's in a zero and a one, or it's in both phases at once.
Yeah, it
Horizontally scales. It's crazy. So like
I don't know.
like
I think people are freaking
this
out
is
right now.
math.
I think we don't even understand what we're in for in the next 2-3 years, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like so quick. I know I was late to the party compared to like really smart people, but like 6 months ago or something, I thought I was into Chat GBT faster than most of my friends. I'm like, I got to use this to make some money before everybody catches on to this. And like by next weekend, everyone's like,
What up, Chat
yeah,
GPT?
like, I thought like, oh man, like I'm like, no one's gonna know. Like smart people will, but like, like got some time. And then everybody I knew within like 2 weeks was just like, boom.
I
I'm
think
on
it levels the playing field for the socioeconomic divides with education that
Yeah.
have been made for so long. It does not make a group of people happy that have a college education that someone else can just type it in and get
Yeah,
an
yeah.
answer to something. And now, what are you going to say? Because they used a tool, they're not able to have the job? They must memorize it?
Yeah.
That's a fucking antiquated way of doing things.
Well, what they're saying, it like for like, the realm that I work in and being a programmer and whatnot, they're saying that if you like, I think there was a statistic that came out, it was like last week. It was like 62% of all code that's been checked in over the course of this year, since ChatGPT came out, is AI generated code, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not using it, if you don't join it, right, you're going to get beat, right? So it's either join them or get lost behind. We're either going to use these tools and you're going to understand how it's going to make your life better or make our lives better, right? Or you're just going to fall behind the wayside. And then obviously when there's good, there's bad, right? Obviously people are going to try to break it. There's people that are coming out with like, other large language models that are, trying to do nefarious things. And that's, like you said, we have to adapt. We have to change our philosophy, because if we don't change, it's a different frontier that we're coming
and
across
only
right
the
now.
bad guys got it at
Right.
that point.
We have to change. We
It's
can't
like
apply.
playing basketball with football rules.
Exactly.
The fucking work.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't work. And we have to understand that. We've got to slow down, take a look, and realize that still at the end of the day, it's the intent. The user intent is where it fucking ends.
Right.
You don't have somebody that's got a nefarious intent on the front end of that keyboard.
Yeah.
The back end is not going to spit out shit.
Yeah. You think cyber warfare is crazy now? Imagine it
With quantum. Woo.
Quantum is a real problem, because what a quantum computer can solve is like typical encryption, right? It's like a 256 RSA encryption that's like used to encrypt, passwords and stuff like that. A normal computer takes, I don't know, like thousands of years in order to process that encryption model. A quantum computer will process that in a matter of seconds, right? So you're talking about like these like standard encryption algorithms that are used for like typical like industrial or even public sector systems and stuff like that can be solved and it can be hacked quickly. So like the whole I'm not a cyber guy by
No.
so like I can't speak to all like the practices, but I'm just thinking I'm like, will you introduce quantum and quantum mechanics or in quantum computing into
Time alone changes the
stuff?
game.
Man, that is a deep field. So if you think stuff's going away because of AI, I'm telling you, it's a new frontier, which means new opportunity to be seen and to be taken part of.
A computer is looking at information like this. A quantum computer is looking at information all the way around it. Like where you would have a flat line of numbers before, now you have numbers that can go infinitely out.
Yep.
It's all
so the calculations are fucking insane and limitless.
So sick. I mean,
and that's quantum. And apparently now we're fucking figuring out that it's not even. Here's the thing. This shit's been around.
Yeah.
We say this all the time. You release the shit that you're going to make money on. You don't release the top-notch item. You release the one that has the predecessor, or not the predecessor, but the next one in line. You've got 20 stacked up over here. That quantum computer's probably got dust and says Hewlett-Packard on it by now because it's been in there so long. Like they've got something much further than that.
Right.
Like we know this. So they don't give us quantum computing without having some other fucking laser-minded whatever.
There's so many players in the game now that if you don't put it out, the other guy's going to try to get.
I get that.
So they're going to put it out.
But they aren't going to give you the sorcerer's stone.
Not yet. But like it's getting, things are flipping so quickly now is somebody's going to do it. If you're a Hewlett or whatever, IBM, the big dog and the smaller dog has that, they're not going to wait for you to put it out. Like they're going to put it out, try to beat you. And then, it's like.
Well, the TVs now are literally just paper. They're like, roll up. You can take a TV, roll it up like a fucking poster in the 90s and walk around with it.
Well, now they got the glasses and like it's going to be your full range of vision. So it doesn't matter like how big your TV is because you can only see so much. But when you have the glass shit, that is going to be like a 100-foot wide TV. And
here's a thought: look around you at all of the things that we decorate our homes with.
Yeah,
walls, all this stuff. We put different designs of different things, and we can only do it once.
Yeah, not anymore.
And we live in it. Imagine if you walked into somebody's house and they had a set of transparent glasses that allowed you to put it on. And they could pick what the theme of the home is for now.
For art galleries, I just saw one in France where
I believe it.
You just put the goggles on and like 20 different people are walking through the gallery looking at a different gallery.
That's the thing. Like, so imagine you want a party in your house, you put it in now it's a fucking club because all the walls are now black and have stars on them going around, right? If we can do an NFT, you make an NFT fucking palatable for a boomer, just put a frame around it, put it on a wall. That's all you got to do for those fuckers, and they're okay. Oh, okay. All right.
middle, because like I just got Procreate on my iPad and like I've been having a lot of fun with that, but I still go bomb shit and like hit walls and hit
two different urges.
But it's like the younger kids don't know about having like a physical notebook and and writing and like, if you fuck up that you're done. Like you've been painting this thing all day and you just fucked it. And you're like, there's nothing to come. It's like start over or whatever.
But should they?
I mean, no, I don't know. I don't.
That's my question. I'm like,
I don't.
Am I mad that they don't have to do it because I did?
No, I'm just saying like we're in the middle. Like where I like having the physical thing has like some benefits and some not. Like the fact that it's a one-off thing and it's got imperfections which make it, different than if everything just be perfect and I don't know, maybe it's not.
No, I'm with you. I actually saw somebody say the other day that if you have ADHD, which is essentially a breakdown in executive functioning, to a certain degree, you have to. One of the best things you can do is not use technology to manage your time in any way, shape, or form. You go back to the old school little memo pad in your pocket and only use that for any of your scheduling, any of your items that you need to do. Always just use that. Never put it on your phone. Never put it in an email. Boom, right there, and always in your pocket, and you will come back together.
That's what fucks me up. I've been doing television shows for 20 years, and I have a huge bin of notebooks from every show. And I had the same 5-star notebook every show. Kept everything in one notebook, and I was good. Now I'm fucking late. It's like it's on. He sends me a calendar invite on one thing. One job sends on another. One job sends on another. It's in 3 different
But
emails.
at what point is it too much?
Huh?
At what point is it too much?
Right now, it's too much.
I can't keep control of when I check my email inbox after today and not going through and just constantly removing dumb shit, there'll easily be 100 emails in there. That's too much.
Yeah, I got right now. I cleaned this out last night at midnight. I got 671 emails today. And, one of those is a junk one. So 300 some of those.
One email or one box?
One email. So like 350 of those I'll just erase out. But there's like 300 that in there, 100 of those I need.
Wow. Did we fuck up when we took away the phone call?
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to get called now.
Oh, I hate it.
But the call does solve things a fuck ton faster than anything.
It does if you're not having to do 4 things.
Like I hear him like, I'll just shoot him an email.
But how long does it take for the problem to be solved by email versus a phone call?
Well, if you have to solve it over like a group of 100 people need this information, or if I'm like at work doing one thing and like I can't sit there because there's always one person on that call that ain't got shit to do. That's just stringing out the call, and like I'm on these Zooms and like I'll get a call 5 minutes later, like, hey, did you handle ABC? I'm like, motherfucker, you just were staring at me.
You were looking at me.
Like we all had to be looking at each other.
That's not a weird expectation. When in business was it a thing that you had to do a meeting and still have to do your work so you could still stay mildly caught up with what's going on in the world with your job?
I got to look at you at your fucking house. I'm like, why do I have to look at you? And now conference calls don't work at all anymore. You can't talk, you just talk all over each other because you can't see each other. Right. So now it's just like a fucking disaster. That too.
We're back to that that chat line you called in the 90s with like 30 people on it.
It's crazy. And it's like now and AI is going to be introduced into that. Like people's assistants aren't real people anymore. Like they're fucking virtual assistants that or they're like,
Caroline's not real.
Yeah, she's like
she's fake. She's like, you don't know this. She's bioengineered.
It's like small.
She's a cyborg.
She's a cyborg.
But that was a robot.
We went with the country edition.
Mm.
Hey y'all.
As signature word.
Y'all. Hey y'all. We got the Toy Story edition, Jesse.
It's just like it's coming though. Like,
it is. You'll be able to buy a friend named Jesse.
Yeah, they're having like those artificial like humanoid type of people that they're injecting them with AI.
Annabelle dolls,
these biochemical, bioorganic, whatever kind of material they're using, and they're creating these kind of like characters, standing people like made with like real not human emotion, but artificial intelligence to like have normal conversations. So like you could buy that person to be like if you live by yourself, you could buy this person to be in your
buy
house
a mark
and just
like hang out with
can
him.
Talk so about how was your day? Well, my day was blah 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 blah. Like it's like
does he talk like that or?
I'm sure you can probably program him. Like you can probably program
AI. I want mine to be Ice Cube.
Ice Cube.
I want Ice Cube hanging out with me, watching TV, like me and him. Yeah, we want narrating your life.
But like all these young girls got their OnlyFans and they're taxing all the dudes and think they're winning right now. But when them Japanese people get those dolls a little bit better,
John, OnlyFans.
Like, sorry, you thought you were just killing it with your $9.99, but like now,
you got
it's a one-time payment, Chief.
Yeah,
this one does a lot more than the keyboard.
It's like people are trying to get revenge on whole other sexes and like everyone's just got to be cool because right now everyone's
Yeah.
trying to like out screw each other out of like
Literally.
everything.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to my friend's daughter the other day. She's 20 years old, and she's like, her concept on how this whole works is just so skewed. No one at that age is thinking at all like married kids,
Oh,
like
hell no.
whatever. She's like, oh, dudes just want to fucking girls just want like, and it's just like a transactional thing, and like who wins, like.
No, I think that was Tinder, man. When you started swiping for tail, I think that was over. Like these people that it removed any of the emotion from the scenario. It became a transactional item. You just fucking in a numbers game.
Right.
Oh yeah, you try to talk to a girl at the grocery store now, they think you're fucking crazy. But they will
Yeah.
come over to your house or like meet you a random stranger.
Yeah, they'll show up at Steak and Shake in the back corner of the parking lot and meet you for the first
Yeah,
time.
but if you're like, oh, I also like that form of lettuce. How you doing? What are you doing this weekend? It's like,
Yeah.
"You fucking weirdo. Wow, why are you talking to me?"
What do you mean? That's my melon.
Yeah.
In the grocery
You're like,
store.
oh, but I'll
Not
believe
my
that
melon.
That's you on that picture, and I will meet you somewhere real weird.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's crazy.
Crazy world out there, man. Gen Z, remember? We're at the bottom. We're at the bottom curve of the reset.
Yeah, I'm an X.
Yeah.
We're the ones
right.
here to
You're like-
translate for you guys. We're the only analog to digital people.
It is weird
Yeah.
though. Like
It's us. We're the great translator. We're helping the old people and the young people talk to each other and make this fucking facilitate a lot easier.
trying, but like there's our generation's got so many fucking problems too, though. It's like people aren't handling it that well.
We're just grumpy.
Yeah, I mean, like the 50s and the 80s were the same almost growing up. Like, we had 3 channels on TV. We rode
Yeah.
bikes. We played football. Like, hung out at your friend's house. Like, didn't have much else that was very different, really. Nintendo. But besides that, like when I grew up, like we went outside until someone screamed loud enough for me to have to come in, or I was
Yeah.
get my ass kicked.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think my generation was like the last era of that because like I had the same upbringing, like similar to what you said, like you didn't have a phone until you were in high school, et cetera. It's like I didn't have a phone until I was in 9th grade versus high school, right? But when I was growing up, we played outside. We didn't come home until the streetlights turned on, right?
Because nobody wanted to be in their house. It sucked.
Yeah. I mean, we did have PlayStation, and right the 96 PlayStation came out, and we had Sega Genesis and stuff like that.
Oh, Tekken.
Dude,
Whoa.
Tekken was the shit.
But that's like one of the first video games. Like my college roommate got that in like '97, and like that was like, I play a little Tecmo Bowl and shit, But
Back in the
that's
day.
like the one that people like got hooked on in our dorms. It's like started staring at.
In the army, we used to have fucking
out.
wars. We would sneak away during like weapons cleaning and shit, like 4 or 5 of us, and go to my barracks room and just sit in there and play fucking Tekken until we get caught. Like, get back out here.
That's how we,
Or whoever was in charge would find us and be like, let me get you.
we're so far.
I
off
got
track,
next.
but- the kids all play these like old ass video games now, right? Like they play Roblox and like
Yeah.
Fortnite and Minecraft. Like what happened there? Like your opinion? Because it went to like crazy graphics and like shit, which is still there. And
You know what?
realistic, and now they're like
Irony.
I don't understand the concept of why this Roblox stuff is like virtual crack for these kids, but it is because it's like even some of the camps that we run, we do Minecraft development, or excuse me, Roblox development. We do modding with Minecraft, movie making, and I think what it is that these are like large platforms where kids can play different games within a game, and they can customize their character to be how they want. So in this one game they play, they have shooting fire cannons. The other one, they have this zapper gun, and then they can transport, and they have this super strong punch. And I think what they like is the creativity and the customization aspect of it, where they can go in there. And now you know how to code. Like Roblox has its own IDE, or integrated development environment, where you can go back.
Oh, no shit.
You can go on the back end of Roblox and actually code in what their proprietary language is called Lua, and you can build things beyond just the natural drag.
Your
and
own
drop.
original
You can
style of
code your own
things.
shit in there.
Huh,
and,
pretty crazy.
and that's what a lot of these kids are doing. Is like,
Sounds like a lot of work, man. I'm all about my Mario running one way across the screen.
yeah,
Dun, 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 when I'm out of
complicated, but
time.
It doesn't look like it. And it looks very like
like very, very remedial. Yeah.
But
But they love irony.
Yeah.
Younger generation loves ironic opposites. They just really love something that's doesn't look like it should. Like
Right.
the
I'm talking about, like,
simpler.
7,
better.
8, 9-year-old nieces and nephews, like they're obsessed, and like it's the only thing they want.
Yeah.
Never looked at it once on a screen except for
It's,
maybe
it's hard,
when
it's hard to
passing.
watch. Hard to watch, man. Because I'm like, dude, you have like,
Looks like Zelda.
yeah, you can, yeah.
I'm back in.
Yeah.
It looks like eight.
I like
8-bit.
Zelda.
Looks
They're all
like
just
8-bit,
block
yeah.
characters with like super like
Yeah, their heads look
weak
fucking
graphics.
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You got to like.
It's like a virtual Legos kind of thing.
It's like they gave up on fucking creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
They're phoning it
My
in.
niece was explaining that to me. She's 9 about how like make your own games and other people start playing them and like it's cool because like now they're playing your shit and like.
I want to make my own game.
I mean that I thought that was cool. Like when we were kids, like there's a lot of that creativity when you're poor and you can't just go to the toy store every week. Like you make up some shit, you know.
We did nothing worthwhile when we should have been doing worthwhile.
I mean, I didn't say it was worthwhile, but we made up.
Oh yeah, dude. We made up a lot of stuff. I don't know if they make up stuff now. They're having their
They
minds
do.
made
It's
up.
just different. Like they don't build it out of like crap in the backyard. They build it out of coding and
Digital shit.
Yeah.
They build it out of something that they'll never have their hands on. That's weird.
You know what they say? Coding is the new literacy, right? It's the new, like, if you're not fluent in the future, right? You're probably gonna get left
I'm
behind.
fucked.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna go. Is there an age limit on Code Ninjas?
there is, yeah.
Something tells you.
Yeah.
to start
Yeah, I have
doing
a
it.
I think it was
46-year-old man with a beard
46-year-old
playing
man sitting
Code Ninjas.
Yeah, you're gonna get some kind of.
Yeah, I'm gonna get
GPS
fucking
something.
arrested.
Yeah, you're gonna have.
I've been to his place. It's a fucking cool center. The way they have it set up, it's really cool.
I looked into it when found out you're gonna be on. Like, at first I was like, I would never do like coding as a kid, and then I looked at it and I was like, oh yeah, that's fucking
Yeah.
cool. Like I would have definitely been up there.
Yeah. Because coding, like, we were talking about earlier, like coding back in the day when I got into it, coding was just like for like losers. Like you're just a nerd. You're gonna
Yeah.
sit there, you're gonna read books, and you're gonna learn how to code. You have no friends. You don't go out in your college days and blah blah blah. I was like, okay, that's fine. I've typically always gravitated to math and science. That's kind of the person that I was. But I consider myself a pretty hip guy. Like I'm up with friends, I would say, and I'm a pretty cool dad and person in general. But like now, it's like over the course of like the last 5 years, like, oh, code, how do you get into blah, blah, blah? And it's like coding has always been like kind of this whole taboo kind of like industry. It's like you're either in it. It's kind of like this whole fight club, right? Like the first rule of it, you don't talk about it.
I
And then-
want to see
and
the
then-
Coders Fight Club.
Oh man,
Yeah, can you imagine that shit? So anyways, like,
The first fight, their inhaler.
or the robot comes out from
Yeah.
behind you.
yeah,
It's got
Right.
like a fucking Octoman fucking arm coming out.
Right.
Battle bots.
yeah. So like, it was a super like, nerdy field. And then like, I guess over the last couple years, it's been more like kind of like mainstream, like, oh, it's kind of cool. And then, like you said, like you would have never done it as a kid, but if it's
Cool.
taught in a way that's like fun, in a way that's cool, and then it's like generally accepted across like your friends, and yeah, it's gonna be something that's gonna kind of take off because it's like at the end of the day, it's like kids, right? We have governors as adults, right? Like because we were talking about, we go to school, we get these breakers and these limits put on us throughout our lives. But as you're still a kid, you're still kind of just floating through life, figuring things out, right? But if you equip them with like coding a skill, like a superpower, and be able to foster that creativity with this kind of skill that they're developing right now, like I truly believe the world is their oyster. They can do whatever the hell they want. Not that they have to be a programmer, but the things that we're teaching is structured problem solving, critical thinking, team building,
That's
all these
very
skills
important.
Super important.
combined together. And then by the time they get 18 years old, be whatever you want to be. But now you have these skills to go into the real world. And then
Nobody's going to tell you what you don't know about coding either. When
Right.
when you're talking to someone and they're discussing highly technological items that involve what you're discussing, if that's something that you learned when you were a kid, you're not going to be at the fucking table handling your business as an ignorant ass.
Right.
You're going to know what they're talking about and not get twisted around the situation. I think that that's foundational. To be able to find the nuts and bolts and understand the nuts and bolts of the operation is how you get top level executives, businessmen, creators. Those people that start in the trenches are 10 times better than the ones that just show up.
And the ability to create and not just consume as well,
Right.
because technology was just, no one was creating anything really for a while. They're just picking it, and the new one came out. Like problem solving is a huge thing. Like we're talking about this generation, being at the bottom end. I've told this story before, but at my job, we get a refrigerator. Someone buys it off Facebook Marketplace, and I have 2 locations that we're filming the show at. So go in and, like fine. We're like using coolers and stuff before because it's like we only work at certain places. So, and come in, I open it up, and all the pops and fuck waters are frozen. And I'm like, hey, gotta turn this fucking thing down. Like, gas cranked up too much, Come in the next day, and it's frozen again. I noticed it's only got one door, and I was like, this is a freezer. And and Like, okay. So someone put a piece of gaff tape on it and wrote freezer on the outside. So I'm leaving and they're filling it again. So for a second, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Like maybe they turn it all the way down. It's gonna work, whatever. Nah. So again, there next day, it pops up, fucking exploded again. Water's all frozen. Go, get our lunch break. I come back and there's a fucking table next to it with all the shit thawing out, and the kid's fucking filling it again. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, it's part of my checklist, and the production assistants are kind of do what they're told. And,
Step 2.
and he's like, what does it say? He's like, we have to fill the refrigerator like at these certain times of day or like whatever. I'm like, definitely not a refrigerator though, right? We've established that. It says right here, it's clearly not a refrigerator. And I'm like, what's the process? And like, what's this table for? It's like, well, like there's everything's frozen. So I'm like, so this is the thawing table? Like, so there's a system. I'm like, how long do you keep it in before you put it on? Like, when does it come out to go onto the thawing table? And
This
like,
one's not ready. They're in fucking timed groups.
yeah. And I'm like, the pops are exploding. So like,
Who's the guy that opens the freezer door to check to make sure they're not exploding? He's like,
yeah, so I called the other kids over here and I was like, do you know about this whole thing? And they're like, yeah, so-and-so said, just we have to do our checklist every day. I'm like, show me the checklist. Clearly says refrigerator, right? And they're looking at me like I'm the fucking crazy one. And I'm like, when do you take them out? Like, and so one of the girls goes, well, when they're frozen. I'm like, you wait till it's frozen? Like, like you check and like squeeze it and like, oh, it's still liquid. Put that back in there.
Frozen can of Coke and a sandwich.
Yeah.
That's
And then
what
I
you want.
had to get a HR like talking to because they like too harsh. And I was like, I didn't yell. I didn't call them stupid. Like, I was just like, please explain this to me so I can understand it. And it was just like,
That's protecting the ignorant.
it is. And then like we had to print out this number 10 for one of our sponsors, and they had like this Cricut machine, right? And I forgot how wide it had to be. And the paper, let's just say it would only print 20 inches wide, and we needed it to be 24 inches or whatever. Come back the next day, there's fucking vinyl all over the place. And like, they're on the phone, they're trying to figure it out. And I was like, what's the problem? And I'm like, it's a 1 and a 0. Print out the 1. And then on the other paper, print out the 0 and put them next to it. And then it'll be wide enough. Like, they couldn't get that either. They're trying to print out one sheet. And I'm like,
where's the Zoom?
Yeah. So,
trying to,
yeah.
using their hands on a piece of paper, trying to make it bigger.
Yeah. And there's another thing we had to print out, and they're like, they call the print company or whatever. I'm like, how far is that? Like, we got to get this on, it's on a mat that we're filming. It's like $1 million sponsor, and if it goes to air without it, we lose all that money. And I'm like, they're like 25 minutes away. I'm like, all right. So I'm like, when is it going to be done? Like 4:00. Like, soon as it's done, I'm going to send, I think, Tony or whatever the kid's name was to get it. And he's coming right back. I'm like, well, send him there now. So it'll be faster. And she's like, it's not going to be faster. And I was like, it'll definitely be faster. She's like, it's 20 minutes away either way. Like, he's got to go 20 and come back. That's 40 minutes. I'm like, correct. But if he's already there when it's done, then it's only going to be 20 minutes from the time that it's done to the time that we get it. She's like, no, he still has to go there. And I was like,
dude.
And I'm like, also, they don't give a fuck about
fire HR.
Yeah.
Like, who are they hiring? What are they allowing you? What's the entrance exam?
Level patience you have there, man.
Yeah. And I'm like, they don't care about what we have to do. But if he's standing there at the counter, they're going to maybe work a little faster or call us the minute it's done. It could already be done. He's like, well, they said they were going to call it when it's done. I'm like, they don't give a shit, dude. Like, I'm like,
I sent him an email.
I literally had to write it down. I'm like, it's 4:00 right now. If you send Tony right now, the quickest he could be back here is 4:40 if it's 20 each way, correct? She's like, yes. He's already there right now. How quick could he be back? She's like, it's the same. I'm like, it's not the same.
Dude, you were arguing with a fence post. You know this,
Just
right?
like, there was 3 other people there co-signing her.
You lost valuable time off your life doing something that had zero possibility of coming out correct.
There was multiple people there that were looking at me like I'm not getting it. Like,
clearly the word problem is no longer in the math curriculum.
No, it's just like, I just don't understand. Like,
if Bob went to the store at 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's not a thing. Like,
Man,
I got a nephew, like, they took F's away because the kids were getting too upset. Like, now there's no F's. in his school.
What does that even
But
mean? Though? Like,
the D is the F now, but
Oh.
like there's just no like
well,
you know.
I don't want to be happy with the D. I already chose my.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Something tells me, hey, you've been
That's
happy.
a good joke.
Yeah,
God
you've been
damn
happy
it!
with the,
I don't want the D.
yeah. But like that's the thing. Like now we don't have Fs,
I-
like because kids got upset.
We're gonna
Man.
remove it from the alphabet. And be like A B C D E G.
I'm not all
H,
like the like hard ass like no one should get a participation trophy. But you need to fuck go for the win every time. But I'm also not like no, you can't keep score anymore.
We're just not gonna grade.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
nephew was 12 years old. My other nephew, when he lived in California still, and his little league still was like not keeping score when they were playing baseball. And I was like, man, it's like some people win, some people lose. Like, what
Right,
are we
that's-
trying to do here?
Not
Like,
keeping score.
Change the laws. of the
How
universe.
weird is that
That
game?
is-
yeah,
How do you?
because kids are like, hey, your kid sucks at baseball. Like, he's always going to suck at baseball. Like, why you keep forcing him to play baseball and then tell all the other kids that you can't like tell who wins or loses? Like, that kid's probably a phenomenal saxophone player or fucking physicist or chemist or fucking gymnast or something else.
Everybody's
Like-
naturally inclined to be gifted in an area, and it's a matter of believing in yourself and having the opportunity to exercise the skill or learn that it even exists. That's why I like what you're doing, man. I'd love to wrap up there. Actually, I
Yeah.
feel like you're giving kids tools for their toolbox in order to navigate life, whether it's just coding or it's the environment that you're providing for them, that leadership, future leadership environment, the way that you were describing that yellow belt, green belt, blue belt, purple belt, and how they are able to give it back each level to reach back to the kid that's underneath them and show them the way. And honestly, the best way to become good at something is to teach it.
Mm.
Once you teach it, you know it. You don't know it until you teach it.
Yeah.
There's so many things in life that I thought I fucking knew until I had to be the one regurgitating it and fucking teaching people that. And I was like, oh,
Yeah, you're
Okay.
you're definitely right. Like when I do the Ultimate Fighter show and fighters have to become the coaches and they're re-teaching the fundamentals that they already had, they get better with those same fundamentals and relearn them and like have to look at it in a different way. You're on autopilot or, like you just know what to do, so you do it. But when you have to actually break it down piece by piece and then kind of explain why something is, like, I think you learn it more than you have before. So I think it's cool that you're teaching that part of it too. I think competition's a very good thing in a lot of cases, but I also think that teamwork and helping each other and everything's good too. So we can't have these kids just all
Healthy
trying to beat
competition.
each other, like, and bring each other up and helping each other while also trying to advance is like really the key, like how everything should be, in my opinion.
eliminates bullies. When everybody's working together to a common goal, there's not much need to push the other kid down.
You ever see any of that? Is there like bullying like in there?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So the only ones that act out of line are probably my kids. 'Cause they're like, hey,
This
you
is
know,
my
like,
dad
"What
owns
is
this place.
Yeah, but my dad's the owner. I can get away with it. So like they try to get away with stuff, but generally speaking, we have a little problem with like so we do like junior classes too. So we do 5 to 7-year-olds, and some of like the 5 to 6-year-olds are still a little rambunctious.
I'm about
But,
to say.
but we learned how to we learned how to work around that. So we capped our junior class 2 juniors at a time, because when we have like more, they become a disruption for the older kids who actually want to learn. So, but other than that, like no bullying. It seems to be like everyone like
I love it.
kids get proud of when they create something. Hey, wow, look at this game I built. And they're like, oh, how did you do that? Can you show me? Sure. Come
You're
over here."
talking about a crucial moment. That particular moment is super important. The moment that they are excited that they did something and they can share it with someone that can tell them they did a good job or can give them that feedback right away, that's going to be the most reinforced, capable kid that you'll ever have. And that goes back to that 2-parent home thing. When a kid does something and doesn't have a parent to tell that they did a good job to, they're never going to fucking feel complete, because we always want to have our parents to give us that, validation.
It's
Right?
addicting too. Like you're gonna want to have that feeling again. Like you're on to accomplish
That's a
something
good
else,
feeling to
accomplish
have.
something
Yeah,
else, accomplish something
Not
else.
substituted with drugs or porn or something like that. They're still looking for dopamine. They're getting dopamine from a kind response to their hard work. It's a hell of a lot better, right? So I want to thank you
Yeah.
for being someone that's affecting change for the younger generation, because that's honestly, we don't deserve change. We've already been here long enough. It's their world. Like, if we're focusing on ourselves at this point, then we're selfish,
Right.
because we've lived a certain amount of time, right? Let's set it up for them. There's nothing worse than a greedy old person. right? Share the knowledge, share it all. Do you have anything you want to put out? Tell everybody where they can find you. And we'll also put the information in the show notes so that they can visit your center and find the address, phone number, all that stuff, or send you messages.
Yeah. So you can just Google us CodeNinja's Wesley Chapel. We're technically on the border, like just south of Wesley Chapel. So technically New Tampa. So I like to say CodeNinja's Wesley Chapel, New Tampa. We're off Bruce B. Downs and Cross Creek. Yeah, that's the easiest way to find us. You can find our phone number.
Any
and
upcoming events or camps or anything like that you got coming,
so-
or are you kind of done
so,
for
yeah,
the?
we're rounding camps kind of down since we're kind of getting back to the whole, back to school kind of vibe right now. We are running camps for the next until the week before they go back to school. So last camp caps off at August 4th. So if you guys want to see any camps that are available, just go on our website, see whichever ones are available and ones that aren't sold out. So we have like becoming a YouTuber. We have movie.
Why can't I take this class?
Yeah, he needs that.
I
need
need
that
this
class.
class, dude.
We have movie making with Minecraft. We have Python. We have Lego robotics. So we don't just do coding. We also do robotics as well.
Oh
So
So
man,
they could
yeah,
create the
we
thing
do
that's going to
we do a
kill
little
us.
bit, a little of that. So
you can have like a
build-
mini battle bots.
So we do it with like little. We build these robot kits and then we program them and then you can do them also with you can do them also with Python. So like you can build them and then program the interface.
Isn't that
with
like Pi and stuff like that? Those
yeah, PY dot.
yeah.
Python scripts and all that stuff. So yeah, we do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and pretty much what we do is everything that's going to give them, the skills and the necessary knowledge of what's we're going through the fourth industrial revolution right now.
Foundational.
Foundational skills for everything that's happening and will come, and hopefully we're doing our best to equip them.
I love it,
with everything they
man.
need.
I
Yeah,
fucking love it. Love the shirt too. We
Thank
didn't
you.
mention that. Code blooded.
how we do.
That's dope. All right. Well, Gary, you got anything you want to wrap up with? You
Nah,
good?
it's really cool. I think I learned some shit today. And I'm like gonna go down the rabbit hole at some point
Yeah,
and
Of
learn
course.
more. But I think it's like you see the thing, and whether it's a video game or your phone or whatever, nobody knows how that shit works. Some
Nobody.
people obviously do, but like I
Right.
think the more interested people get in that, the better.
yeah. It's like for example, when you click an order to buy on Amazon, I think the average amount of system hops that it has to do for that to say successful is about like 40 systems that it goes through for that to say a successful purchase order. So can you imagine having the skills to know what's happening under the hood for something that's so easy, right? It makes our lives easy, but understanding the stuff behind it, right, is what will,
And
give
we
us the
take that
skills.
shit for granted
For
too.
Oh yeah, it used to be like 3 days. Cool. Oh, I need to have it tomorrow, or I'm not buying it. If it's not same day, I'm not.
I'm
buying
going to
it.
Best Buy.
Yeah, it's the carton from Best Buy. Like
Best Buy is the backup to Amazon for every
yeah, it's
technology
the backup
purchase.
for like
It's-
everything in my
I
life.
can't get it in 24 hours. See if Best Buy. I appreciate you, Nico.
Cool,
man.
man.
Always a cool friend.
Absolutely.
Great to have
Thank
you,
for
man.
having me.
Welcome back anytime. Next time, I think you come in, we talk about some fighting because
We
you've
can
been
do
doing boxing and working with Grandmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, so gonna have him in
Totally
as
forgot
well.
about that.
Yeah.
Sugar Crossing.
Yeah, Grandmaster Robert Sugar Crosson. Yeah, he's an interesting and very
I love
accomplished
him.
individual. He's a hell of a guy. But yeah, I actually trained with him. I've actually done boxing for
How's your
many,
ribs?
many years. Ribs are okay. Ribs are much better now. But yeah, so we can definitely talk about that. And
I love that. I love that. You see, he loves boxing.
yeah,
Old school.
old school. Yeah, being of Cuban heritage is kind of part of our DNA. Boxing and baseball.
Mm,
Hey, that's my two favorite sports.
well, there you go. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening. Remember, everybody, be cool and keep learning.
All right.
Cuban B.